Is Friday, the 23rd of July, 2021, and it's the mail with me, Jimmy Page Turner. How about that ended to after Halloween? I was certainly caught by surprise, weren't you? I have to tell you, the image of it, the man is like a statue of a saint in a church. The twinkling-eyed saxophonist with his arms slightly outstretched. He probably had his head tilted back a little bit as the leaves came falling down around him. That is sheer poetry. And I give credit when and where it is due. However, I left some questions, including questions for me. And I thought, and I was sure that there would be questions from you, the viewers. And sure enough, the emails came in. And so we're going to address those questions right now. Okay. There were several who wrote in and said, essentially, have we seen the last of Gold Coast After Dark? Well, I did not know for sure, but fortunately, I was on a bike ride this morning with Bill, an early morning bike ride, because today is cool and breezy and overcast. And so Bill doesn't have to worry about that unpleasantness of his skin due to the fact that his blood pressure medicine can't handle direct sunlight. So we got out early and we were riding along, and I said, Bill, you got to tell me now. I got a question. And he said, yes, Jimmy, what is it? And I said, people are going to be asking me, is there going to be any more Gold Coast After Dark? Or are you going to stop now? Are you satisfied that your grandson, Jax, back in Fort Worth, is going to have a good picture of his grandfather? And he said, well, Jimmy, I'm still thinking about it. And because I respect Bill, I said, okay, well, we can talk about it later. All right. Now, this ties in, however, with the next email. And I'm real happy about this next email because it shows me that as a marketing person, that you want this sort of thing to happen. It shows me that people are staying with this highly personal electronic, like a postcard from space that's going to be years in arriving before Jax in Fort Worth ever gets to see it. And so this comes in from someone who had written in previously and stayed with the show. And they write, what did Bill mean when he talked about an unintended sequel to After Halloween? And the writer of this email is none other than Little Bobby Sue, who last time I have to admit, we may not have got off on the best foot. My response may not have been civil, maybe a little too terse. But she did not hold that against me, apparently, because she wrote in, she stayed with the program, which is good, and she wrote in to ask this question. So, little Bobby Sue, I am glad you're right. So, but this has to do with what I asked Bill. I said, Bill, and he looked over at me, and I said, keep your eyes on the road because it's safety first, even on bicycles. And I said, Bill, you wrote about an unintended sequel. What exactly did you mean by that? Because rest assured, bud, people are going to be asking me about it today. So what he said was, well, Jimmy, there is another book. It's a bit shorter, and it's an unintended sequel because I did not intend to write it. I thought I had said all that I could say or wanted to say in After Halloween, and I was going to leave it there. But apparently, the week after the book was published, Bill went for a ride and he went out back across the A20 highway and up to Boogie's Hill and things, and saw some things that distressed him, some things that shook him to the very fiber of his being, to his very core, and he felt compelled to write about it. Now, he showed me, on our bike ride this morning, he showed me the things he talked about. And I said, well, Bill, I can see where a sensitive guy like you would feel compelled to have to write about this, and you would be troubled to the very fiber of your being. So, things happen. Time brings change. And change came in a bad way, apparently, for Bill. So he wrote about it. And the book he wrote about it is called A Fragile Thing That Can Only Exist Where Fragile Things Are Loved. And that is a line from a 1933 novel called Lost Horizon by Mr. James Hilton, an Englishman. And it's from that we get the term Shangri-La, a perfect place. A movie was made of it starring the dashing Ronald Colman. But I recommend it to anyone. So that's where the title comes. So it may give you a hint that Bill feels that something is lost or about to be lost. And so, and again, as a result, it was tied in somehow to what he wrote about in After Halloween. So that is why it's an unintended sequel. Now, Bill says he's going to take some time off. I will probably find out over the weekend, but I'm not going to ask him. I'm sure he'll say something because he'll probably say just over like a burger or something. He'll say, Jimmy, you think you could do a couple more episodes of It's the Mail? And I will look at him and I say, Bill, I am your man. Whatever you need, I will do. So we'll see. But that's what he meant by an unintended sequel. So there is a follow-up that Bill felt it was necessary to write. A companion volume, sort of would an addendum be the word? I'm not quite sure, but it's there. And it's tied in to the events of After Halloween. So there may be another run of Gold Coast After Dark. And if it is, my guess is it will concern the events laid out in A Fragile Thing Which Can Only Exist Where Fragile Things Are Loved. Now, that was a long answer, little Bobby Sue, but I hope it answers your question and for anyone else who may have that question. So now let's move on, shall we? Here we go. Was the twinkly-eyed saxophonist a real person? And this is from someone who calls himself, you gotta love email handles, Speedo Rito. How about that? Well, Speedo, let me tell you. We already talked about Bill doesn't live quite the same place that we live, at least not all the time. I have no reason to suspect the twinkly-eyed saxophonist was not a real person. Somewhere. He certainly seemed real enough to Bill. I mean, Bill still talks about him. And he wrote about him. So, the only answer I could give is that, yes, the twinkly-eyed saxophonist is a real person in the Billverse. I have no doubt he is a real person there. Whether he's a real person here where you and I live remains to be seen. Now, if I go for a bike ride this weekend and I go riding over the A20 overpass and past Boogie's Hill and down the avenue of trees, and I hear a saxophone playing. I don't know for sure that the twinkly-eyed saxophonist is a real person here. But even if I don't, that is no reason for me to think that he's not a real person here. In those places just off the corner of the eye where Bill seems to live, the place known as the Bilvers. All right? That's the best I can do for you right now. Okay, the next email that came up, it says, are Boogie's Hill and the forest and after... This is the same sort of question. Are Boogie's Hill and the forest and after Halloween real places, and have you ever been there? And this comes from someone who signs herself or himself, because you just never know with the internet, the real Princess Leia. Well, Princess, yes, they are. I can't put it any plainer than that. They are. They're just right on the other side of the 820 highway. There's Boogie's Hill. There's an avenue of trees. There's a forest. It's all there. Not only in the Billverse, but here with us. Okay? You could go there yourself if you wanted to. If you came over here and you crossed over the A20 overpass and walked through that sort of canopied area, which Bill doesn't really write about so much, but there's another avenue of trees. There are several in the area. And you look there and you go up and then you take a left turn and it swings around and you would first see Boogie's Hill. And everywhere else is a forest you could see for yourself. But I'm here to tell you, they both exist. They are as real as you and I, or as you and me. All right, so let's move on. It says, no, that one's been scratched out. I guess somebody didn't want me to read that one. So it brings us to one more, just one more email. And it says, this is a very touching email to me. It says, will there be another edition of It's the Mail next week? And this comes from, I love these names, Nacho Chorizo. Chorizo is a type of Mexican sausage, which I am particularly fond of. I particularly like it on nachos. Nacho Chorizo. Well, Nacho, let me tell you. It's Bill's ball game. It's Bill's ballpark, and I'm just here to do my bit and help out when I can. If Bill needs me to do another episode of It's the Mail, I will. I would expect if he comes back and does indeed continue with Gold Coast After Dark with his unintended sequel, A Fragile Thing Which Could Only Exist Where Fragile Things Are Loved, that too would generate email, and someone would need to reply to those emails, and that person, who better than me, who's already done it, and who is always at ease and comfortable before both the camera and a microphone. Me, Jimmy Page Turner. Besides, as we know, Bill needs his days off. Today, for instance, even though we went for a bike ride, he's already taking it easy. Last time I saw him, he was spread out on a couch. He has some pretzels in a bowl over this way and ice cold Pepsi Cola next to him. and he was reading a book. And the book he was reading was about the 100 Years' War, which is English history. I told you, Bill's a history guy, as he has said. So he was doing that, but I know when he gets done with that, and maybe he'll have to reload on the pretzels and the Pepsi. But once that's done, he'll be back to watching his movies. I also saw stacked up on the table his copy of Forbidden Planet. Um, he had that, and one of my favorites, To Kill a Mockingbird, and also Inherit the Wind with Spencer Tracy. So, Bill is going for some drama today. Now, that's it. That's all we got. So, if Bill is back, if he decides to do Gold Coast After Dark, I can only assume there will be at least one more episode of It's the Mail with me, Jerry Page Turner, and I will be happy to do it. Whatever I can help here at Bapadoo Records and Bapadoo Books and Gold Coast After Dark, we are all pulling on the rope in the same direction at the same time. And we will continue to do so. That said, thank you again on my own behalf, but also on that of Bill and everyone here at Gold Coast After Dark and It's the Mail for your patience and your viewing loyalty. And we'll see you again.